Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Village Doctors live interview. Just gonna give it some time and let some of our villagers come in the room, and yeah, we'll get started in a little bit. Okay. All right. About to add you, uh, Chama. There we go. Hey, hello,
Hi,
Chama. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you? It's so
Welcome.
good to see you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Good to see you as well. And hello to our viewers. My name is Chidubem, otherwise known as D2 of the Village Doctors. I'm here with the amazing, elegant Chioma Carmen-Rose. We're just gonna talk a little bit, dive into this whole medicine, of a thing. Cut it up for our viewers, just dissect it small, and then we're gonna go a little bit more into your book, and yeah, like I'm excited. I'm very excited.
I am as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you for taking out of your time. I know like interview season is, it's really tough, and you really like doing this for us. So we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. You know.
Thank you.
Yeah, so like without further ado, I don't wanna, step on your toes. I'm gonna let you go ahead and give us a brief intro. Just introduce yourself and like, why you chose medicine.
So, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Carmen Rose. I'm the author of VPCOS Diet, a Healthy Recipe Guide to Happy Hormones. I'm also an MS4. I go to Ross University School of Medicine. So about how I decided to get into medicine. So prior to medicine, I actually worked in a lab where I basically did a lot of like science-related jobs. I basically analyzed different biological matrices for drugs of abuse, particularly in the perinatal population. And this experience basically highlighted the impact of drugs of abuse within the community I was working at, which was Chicago at that time. So I wanted to use my love for sciences to help humanity and build connections while doing that. So that's why I decided to go to medical school, because medical school I felt was going to give me the knowledge to not only help these predisposed individuals combat addiction, but also build long-term relationships while doing that. So that's why I decided to go to medical school.
Wonderful. That's amazing. That's a beautiful story. I didn't even know you worked in a lab and got like that experience. That's amazing. So did you have prior interest to medicine, before that, or like was it just, you got into the lab and then, because I know like for most of us, like parents, they're like, oh, you must be a doctor, oh, you must be a lawyer,
Yeah.
that type of thing. So like was it the same for you, or like did you like, come around the journey like moving forward in your life?
That's a great question. So, growing up I'm Nigerian.
Right.
Growing up in a Nigerian household, you can only be a doctor, engineer, or
Yeah.
like an attorney.
Right.
So fortunately for me, I actually developed those, like my interest in medicine, even prior to kind of like discussing that with my parents. I always just realized I was interested in science. So I guess like, communicating with my parents and just letting them know, what, this is something I see myself doing. They just kind of supported me along the path to ensure that my dreams came true.
I see. Wonderful, wonderful. So then, like, were you born here or were you born in Nigeria?
I was born in Lagos, Nigeria.
Lagos, Nigeria. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, okay. So I'm imagining, okay, so you're born in Lagos, Nigeria, like you did maybe secondary school, high school over there as well
Yes,
before transitioning over here. Okay.
yes.
Um, okay. And then what did you go for undergrad? How was that experience for you?
Amazing. So I left Nigeria at like 17. I to start college. I schooled in Chicago, and it was an amazing experience. I mean, I love Chicago. Right now I live in San Diego, California, and the cities are very different. Like Chicago is a very vibrant, bubbly city, ethnically diverse community. There's so much to do there. So, I mean, I loved it because there was so much to do. I had an amazing time, you know, at school while also building relationships.
Nice. And did you like have like the traditional like you know, pre-med major, like were you bio, chem or anything like that, or did you have something else?
I was pre-med. My major was biological sciences with a concentration in pre-med because the goal when I left Nigeria was to eventually get into medical school.
Right, right. Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay. So like during your time, you know, at undergrad, you know, I think you know, a lot of us like we have different paths and different challenges that will occur. Like, so like how did you cope, you know, like with navigating that journey like towards medical school? I know like definitely like at least for me, organic chemistry was like for the death of me. I could not understand that thing with all those branch diagrams, you know, like you know, so like how was it for you? Like did you, you know, take it easier or like more difficult than others, you know, like just talk a little bit about that.
If we're being 100% honest, it was tough for
Right,
me.
right.
I did not have the strongest, will I say, study skills. Back then, I was still learning a lot about myself. So I found it hard to kind of like assimilate the information presented to me. Moreover, this sounds like an excuse right now, but back then, coming straight from Nigeria to the US,
Right.
kind of how we study is different. US system is more analytical, whereas like in Nigeria, we tend to memorize a lot.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, it was hard for me to kind of like assimilate and combine both like learning styles while in college. So yes, I did have some difficulty, but thankfully my college, you know, provided tons of resources to kind of like help students that were struggling, you know, find their path.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I think that's definitely necessary for us, you know, coming from a different country, assimilating into this system is definitely not the same, you know, like you can just like, you know, be taught about some things or like memorize this, you know, but over here you actually get to see the things
Yeah.
that you're, you know, taught, you get to feel, touch it. It makes more sense, you know, so you can
Yes.
remember it better. So that's wonderful. That's good. Okay. That's good for like an undergrad experience. So now let's talk about that transition from you know undergrad to medical school. So like yeah, just talk a little bit of, more about that. You know, like how was the application process for you? Did you believe yourself to be you know a strong applicant? You know, like or what kind of challenges did you experience along the way?
Oh, you're asking really great questions.
Yeah,
So
we got it. The village doctors, we got GPA, man. We cut it up. We cut it up. Yeah.
So, while I was working in Chicago at the lab, as I said, I wanted to apply my love for sciences to help humanity and build long-lasting relationships. So I felt like medical school was like the right avenue to do that. Now, with respect to like applying, unfortunately, I did not apply on time, so I didn't really get into the whole AMCAS application system. And that's when I discovered other avenues where I could, you know, fulfill my dreams of becoming a physician. So Ross actually had a Facebook ad. That's how I found out.
Right,
And I
right.
clicked on it. They were having like an open house in Chicago. I was like, okay, this seems cool. I mean, I'm working in Chicago. Let me just attend the event. So I attended it. And I kind of shared my dreams with some of the residents because some students, my bad, I came to the open house and they just seemed so happy to be at Ross. So I applied. I had a very positive mindset. I wasn't sure if I was a good fit, but just the positive outlook I had towards the application, I guess, helped throughout the application process, as well as my interview with some of the faculty members. And yeah, that was pretty much my experience. And eventually I got a call and email that I was accepted.
Amazing. That's spectacular. Congratulations. Yeah, like I think like for a lot of people, you know, that interested in medicine, you know, there's that like, you know, weight on their shoulder about like the challenges ahead, you know, if they'll be well supported, you know, if they have what it takes in order to thrive, or even just to get into the front door as well.
Yes.
You know, so that's one of the reasons why we do this as well, just to highlight, you know, like people like you that, you know, have gone through like different struggles and have made it there, so we can inspire others, you know, to follow suit as well. So yeah, thank you for that wonderful story. You know, you
Thank
actually
you.
touched on a little bit of what I wanted to, you know, move on to next, which was, you know, like why Ross, and like if you apply to other schools as well. Like for me, like definitely, like I honestly, like I didn't even believe myself. In fact, I wasn't even a competitive applicant. Man, my undergrad was full of, let me say, like a lot of decisions that maybe I shouldn't have made, you know. And at
Me.
the time, yeah, like I didn't really have the guidance, you know. So I really just applied to Ross and SGU, you know, and yeah, like I went for Ross. After I'm going for Ross, you know. So like how was that for you? Did you like you know, how was the MCAT, and like, you know, did you apply to other schools as well, or like was it just Ross for you?
I did apply to other schools. Actually, I applied not only to Caribbean schools, I equally applied to some European schools
Oh,
that gave
nice.
you the opportunity to kind of attain your MD as
Mhm.
opposed to MBBS, because that's
Right,
kind of like what they use back there.
right, right.
And for me, I think I stuck, so I got into some other Caribbean schools. I also got into some European schools. But one thing that stuck with me with Ross was one, they were affordable in terms of like you know, financially when you're thinking about planning for your education. And also they had scholarships. So they had scholarships for people. They basically told you if you keep performing well in school, there are so many avenues that you could use to finance your education. And finally, the match rate was high, you know, when compared to other schools. So I felt like I had a greater shot at a residency program if I attended Ross as opposed to like, you know, other schools that I interviewed with.
Absolutely, absolutely. And did you end up like taking like a gap year before you went to Ross, or like the when you were working in the lab, was that like concurrent with your time in undergrad?
That's a great question. So after undergrad, I worked in a lab and I took a year off to work on, to, you know, work at that job. And that was my gap year.
I see. Okay, okay. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm trying to remember, like, when did you start at Ross? Was this like was September 18, or like was it after that? Uh,
No, I started at Ross 2017, and
okay.
I took some time off for personal reasons.
Right.
So I was part of the hurricane.
Oh wow. Hey, legendary, legendary. Hats off to you. That's wonderful. That's amazing. Yeah, can you talk a little bit about, because I feel like, you know, people don't really know how it feels like, you know, to go like, you know, to school, and then you know, in an area that's not necessarily like your home base, and then having like a natural disaster throw everything into disarray, having to like stay like on a boat, you know. Please, can you touch a little bit about that for our viewers, please? I would love that.
I actually talked about this in my personal statement. But
Mhm.
it was a very interesting experience to say the least. It was eye-opening. It was different. I think that obviously going into like school, your main focus is I have to do what I have to do, you know, hone on the skills I have to hone in on and get my grades right so I can, you know, come back to the US or the UK or whatever to continue my education. Now, when I was back in Dominica, I think the way I choose to live my life, I always try to be positive even when things don't sound very promising. So every single day I woke up with a positive mindset. If I didn't have running water or did not have electricity, I would still kind of like wake up happy and relate it to like my experiences growing up in Nigeria.
Right,
And
right.
when the hurricane hit, now being Nigeria, we don't have natural disasters.
Oh, no, 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 no. It's brand new territory. No.
Like we just have Hamatan, rainy season.
Yeah, simple. Rainy season,
And
dry season, keep it moving, you know, nothing too outlandish, please.
like, so I was like, I know this is like a short live and I don't want to go into too many details, but more.
With that Omo alone, I'm able to like encapsulate the whole experience. Like, trust me.
Whoa.
Wow, wow, that's crazy.
Like,
That's crazy.
I
Yeah.
thought I was about to meet,
Wow.
and I was like, God, I am sorry for the sins I've committed. And
Wow.
you know, que sera, sera, whatever will be, will
My,
be.
my.
So it was a very traumatizing experience because the windows where I lived were shattered.
Oh
My
my.
bed was turned upside down. I had to take find solace in like my bathroom, which thankfully, because I had a door connecting my room and my bathroom, the door did not get like destroyed, and I had no windows in the bathroom, so it was like a closed space, so I didn't get affected. But when I opened the door the following morning, like my whole apartment was like
Oh,
ransacked. It was upside down, things were broken, glasses everywhere, water everywhere. And I would say some people may not agree, but I feel like the kind of like support that Ross provided, I know it wasn't like ideal, but they tried their best to like provide us with like boats. We had a plane chartered for us to kind of evacuate us from the island to the US. We went through customs. Back then I had my green passport, Nigerian passport. They didn't ask any questions, which if you're not a US citizen or permanent resident, that's going through customs is a tough situation because of all the questions they will ask you. So I
yeah.
went through customs, no questions asked, and Ross made that possible. I had family here, so it was very easy for me to kind of like, heal during that whole experience. So yeah, as I said, it was eye-opening, but I'm grateful because through that experience, I learned resilience.
Yes, absolutely. What they say, there's no resilience without challenges, you know.
Without challenges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's amazing. That's wonderful. And look at where you are now. Like, man, like that's wow. That just goes to show like whatever it is that life hands you, you still have the power, in order to like turn it around and like, project your life in whichever way that you see fit. You're the master of your
Mhm.
destiny at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah,
So that's
I
amazing.
agree.
Um, yeah. So like tell me, did this happen like your first semester, like your second
Yes,
semester? Okay, so
first.
like your first semester of medical school.
Yes, yes.
But man, I don't think people really like understand like the gravity of that situation because you have to like drink from a fire hose all this information constantly,
Woo!
and then on top of that you have like your oh no, that's I can't, like, no, like I said before, hats off to you, congratulations for making it, to this stage. It's definitely not an easy task, and thank you for sharing the story with us as well. We really appreciate to have you.
Thank
You know,
you. Congratulations to you as well for finishing school.
thank you. We're humbled. Always, always. Okay. So like now let's talk a little bit more about medical school and like how you fared, and as far as like how you came up to choose like what specialty you're going for. Let's start with that. Like, so what specialty did you end up going for, and how did your experiences help you to make that decision?
That's a very good question. So I went into medical school open-minded. I always knew what I wanted to do within medicine, which is going or delve into like leadership or business side of medicine, but I wasn't sure what specialty was basically going to give me opportunity to leverage off like my future goals. That being said, I was a part of a lot of like organizations while I was in school, both in school and outside school. But one organization that kind of like highlighted my passion was AAFP, which is the American Academy of Family Physicians. Just their mission and their objectives and just recruiting the next leaders within family medicine spoke to me. And I took that step further to actually be involved with my state chapter, the California Academy of Family Physicians, where I built long-term relationships and mentors that kind of like helped me navigate my way through, the maze of healthcare. That being said, I fell in love with family medicine, not only because I felt at home, like my personality just felt at the right place, and also the opportunity that family medicine gives me to foster or build long-term relationships while enhancing the continuity of care within my patients.
That's amazing. That's spectacular. So you already had that mindset coming into medical school that, okay,
Yeah.
like a family medicine is what's meant for me. That's why I'm gonna be able to, go through this leadership and business aspect of medicine. Is that
I kind of sort of, I wouldn't say family medicine. I would say I was looking for a specialty that would guide me towards the goal of leadership and entrepreneurship in medicine. And I think I found that in family medicine through just the experiences I had with like the AAFP, which is the national organization, and CFP, which is the state organization of family medicine.
So it wasn't necessarily like going through like the like traditional rotations that we had that like steered you onto your path. It was like you venturing out into the unknown, gaining those experiences for yourself that steered you onto the path. Okay, and wow, that's wonderful.
Yes.
And you actually mentioned something important about like having mentors. I know like, you know, like a lot of people like struggle like as far as like gaining mentors, you know, how many mentors or what kind of mentors. Can you like talk a little bit about, you know, what is the best way to approach like having a mentor, and you know, how beneficial it is like for you and how it can benefit others as well?
That's a great question. I think as a medical student, particularly as an IMG or foreign medical graduate, because we don't kind of have a medical campus, it's hard for us to kind of walk to an office like you had in college with your academic advisor to discuss certain things or certain questions that you have about your goals in life. You know, having a virtual interaction isn't the same as having an in-person interaction. So I noticed this with our program, and I told myself, okay, this is where I'm trying to go. And I feel like, you know, there's a proverb that says if you want to go far, you need people. You can't go far by yourself. So I decided, you know what, I feel like I need different mentors for different things. And through the way I actually got mentorships was actually through involving myself with the organizations I talked about earlier. So I would have conversations with people, I would follow up through emails, and then I'll tell them, you know what, like, I feel like I need a little bit of guidance in this aspect of my life, or, you know, in this project that I'm working with, please, you know, your skill sets or your interests based on like the conversation that we had at the conference, or your, you know, program website highlights that these are things you're passionate about. Would you mind taking me under your wing to help? I know some people would reply and they were like, of course, you know, and that's actually how I found mentors within the different parts of medicine that I want to be involved in.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so just reach out, like don't be scared of like rejection,
Yes.
you know. And you actually touched on something like that I didn't even necessarily think about. It's like we go through all these experiences as IMGs, and sometimes you don't even realize like you can't even walk into an office and just say, oh, excuse me, please, like, can you give me assistance? No, you can't do that. You know, like you have to go email somebody that might not have ever even seen your face, you know, at all, you know, which definitely changes the dynamics moving forward. So thank you for touching on that, you know. So yeah, like family medicine is definitely like a wonderful specialty, like you said. Like I believe like it to be like the baseline, you know, like you know, like as far as like the foundation of medicine, you know, like the ones that, you know, end up like maintaining like our overall health like in society. So like what would you say like are some, you know, misconceptions or like stereotypes like about this specialty?
Oh, we're going deep.
That's what we do at the village doctors. I told you this. Yeah.
I was going through rotations one time. Let me tell a quick story, just a quick story.
Please tell us.
I had one of my colleagues basically talk about like a teaching assistant. You know how Ross basically has certain you know, students that don't match kind of like become like teaching assistants at specific rotation sites. And, you know, and I quote, she was like, wow, he's so good. I don't know why he's settling for family medicine. Like, cause she asked him what he was applying to. And I feel like that just shows how people don't value family medicine physicians as real doctors, because we don't do procedures, or we don't really go into the nitty-gritty details of medicine. I think it's very unfortunate, because I feel like without family medicine, medicine would not exist. We are like, I saw a quote on Twitter, family medicine is like the is similar to how first daughters are to immigrant families. It's like guide people through the maze of healthcare. So I'll say that's one big misconception about family medicine. There's so much, like, I'm so passionate about family medicine because the possibilities within family medicine are endless. There's advocacy in family medicine. You can do aesthetics in family medicine. You can do lifestyle medicine, integrated medicine, leadership in medicine. You can even form curriculum for different programs. You can do research. There's evidence-based practices within family medicine that we keep working on. There are so many things you can do, not limiting yourself to clinical medicine. So that's why I love family medicine, because it gives you the skill to be innovative. Like, why spend your life doing one thing when you can do so many things and live your best life? So that's why I feel like the biggest misconception is like we don't do anything, when that's false.
I completely, I couldn't agree anymore, you know, like, and I can hear the passion in your voice. Like, when you go through your interviews, it's going to be a spectacular thing. Like, I can already tell that they're going to, like, yeah, it's going to be wonderful. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for that. And just on that same, like, note, like, would you ever, like, you know, consider, like, maybe doing a fellowship by any chance, you know, going forward? With family medicine? Or one of our guests says she's not. Yeah, she's speaking facts out here. Family medicine all the way. Definitely.
Thank you. Yeah, great question. Yes, I'm thinking about doing a fellowship. Most of the programs I'm applying to either have they kind of integrate certain aspects of medicine. Let me give you an example. Lifestyle medicine is a very new aspect of medicine where they study the relationship between the foods that we eat and how we kind of like translate into various metabolic conditions. It's ACGME accredited, and there's some programs that are trying to recruit physicians to practice this aspect of medicine, and you become double board certified. So you're not only board certified in family medicine, you become board certified in lifestyle medicine without necessarily going through the lengthy fellowship. So I'm looking or seeking programs that kind of like expose you to, in quote, the fellowship aspect of lifestyle medicine, so I can work on curbing or decreasing the incidences of like chronic diseases by teaching people the importance or educating them on the importance of nutrition and medicine.
Absolutely. And I think, like, you know, education, like, is very crucial, you know, like, especially like the patient stage, you know, like, because that's what we can do to prevent all these like chronic issues, you know,
yes.
Diabetes, hypertension, you know, like, it all starts at that basic, you know, like, follow-up. When was the last time you saw your doctor? You know?
Oh, yes.
Something like that, you know. So that's very crucial. That's very crucial. So you definitely like strike me as an individual that values like the importance of like work-life balance, you know.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that, how you dealt with it in medical school, and how like you believe that, you know, whatever skills that you have now will allow you to, you know, continue that balance throughout residency?
So by work, let me kind of understand your question. So by work-life balance, are you talking about interest solely within medicine or also outside of medicine?
Inside, outside, in between, anything like that has to do with like anything else, like just medicine, and like, for instance, like, you know, you like working out, or like, you know,
okay,
social, having like a social experience, or like working on any of your entrepreneurship endeavors as well, just anything like that, and having to, of course, like study and better yourself as like a physician, of course.
I believe work-life balance is an emphasis on the very important. One of my mottos in life is living my best life and I'm finding pleasures in so many things outside of my career. And I think it's very important for you to have a life outside of medicine. So you're not, you know, I don't want to use the word sad, but like when you keep repeating the same like schedule all the time, like I feel like there's nothing more you're accomplishing in life. So I think it's very important to find your interest outside of medicine. Your interest could be sleeping. I mean, we don't get a lot of that in medicine. Your interest could be working out, carving time out for things that matter to you, to give you that sense of like being a human, if that makes sense. Because you're not a robot, you can't work. Like, body no be firewood.
Yeah, that's exactly good one.
You have to enjoy your life.
Right. So body no be firewood.
And enjoyment is subjective, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I was just trying to explain the whole body no be firewood. Like, you know, our bodies are not made of like, you know, wood, and, you know, like, why human beings. That's basically what she's saying. You know?
Yeah, like you have to live your best life. And if living your best life means sleeping, working out, and like, talking to your friends on the phone, anything that kind of helps with your mental health, I think it's important, because if you only focus on work, you're gonna lose in medicine. That's what
Right.
I feel.
I think that a lot of people, like, they want to like achieve that balance, but like the issue might just be like time management. So
Mm.
like how do you like go ahead about the process of managing your time in order to like still like attain that balance, you know?
Oh, that's a great question, Bams. Let me say, I'm learning the art
Mm,
of balancing different aspects of my life. I feel like I wear so many different hats outside of medicine, and this is not just related to work. I am married, I have friends, I'm a daughter, I have sisters. So, you have these parts of you that make you a human being, and carving out time to basically fulfill these responsibilities that you have is it's tough. It takes time to master the art. So what I do is, first of all, I think it's very important to have a support system that
mm,
can help you achieve those goals. I've been blessed with just the best partner or husband that kind of helps me when I'm struggling in certain areas, and also prioritizing things that need to be done. So I wake up in the morning, I tell myself, Chioma, what are your goals for today? And I actually dedicate time slots to accomplishing those goals. And if I don't accomplish it, tomorrow is a brand new day. I'm not too hard on myself. And
absolutely.
I try to kind of like accomplish those goals that I set for myself, sorry, um, the way my time permits. And yeah, that's kind of how I balance things out.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So like just transitioning into like, one of the many hats that you wear. So in case you guys didn't know, Village is like our guest today. Like she is an author, a published author. In fact, the PCOS diet, that's her book. If you don't mind just telling us, I know I have like done a little bit of research, like I've watched some of your videos, but like for those that are not aware, can you just talk about like, what made you decide to go ahead and write your book? Like I think one of the reasons why we really wanted to interview you is because, like you're actually like, like when they say like putting the pedal to the metal, or like, putting your mouth where your money is, that type of thing. Like you're practicing medicine, but you're also like, giving this medicine like to the community, in order to better the community. So like if you don't mind, please just talking more a little bit about, what made you decide to write the book, and just how you got into it.
Rick, this is something that is very dear to my heart. So, I had a very traumatizing experience when I got diagnosed with PCOS. I actually do have an exclusive interview coming up with a company called Peppy Health
Okay.
next month, where I delve into the trauma that I experienced, where I almost had a near death slash surgical experience when I got diagnosed with PCOS. And that was actually the first time I learned about PCOS. This happened while I was in medical school. After that, I had to teach myself, because we hadn't done the repro aspects of medicine,
Right.
and I didn't know what to do after my diagnosis. So my OBGYN told me, Chioma, the best way to manage your PCOS is through diet, exercise, and then OCPs. But I was very skeptical about going on OCPs just because of the things I heard that it did to you. I eventually did go, and it really wasn't the best choice for me. That being said, there are lots of complicated adverse effects that came with being on OCPs, as well as my PCOS, one being weight gain. I also had a lot of like mental health issues, and it was very difficult kind of like communicating with people who are not going through something similar, because they can't relate. People would not understand what you're going through until they wear the same shoes that you're wearing. So I found a community of women actually on Facebook that literally had the same experiences that I had, the weight gain, the hormonal imbalances, the mental health issues, depression that comes with just managing that condition. And we all had questions. And one of the biggest questions that they had is like, what do we eat? They keep telling PCOS patients, they put some of them on metformin, which for those that don't know what metformin is, it's a diabetic medication that they give you once your A1C, which is a marker of diabetes, is above 5.7. But not all PCOS patients have that. So for people who are not diabetic, what diet do we eat that isn't a diabetic diet? So I was like, you know what, let me work on this. Let me actually do this research myself and see if it's going to work on me. So I spent roughly a year and a half working on my recipes. I exercised back in 2020. I would always post videos and pictures on my Instagram. No one really knew what I was doing, but it was basically to motivate myself and help manage my condition. I noticed that with dedication, my, will I say consistency paid off. And I was like, you know what, let me go a step further and share these recipes and exercises that I have, compiled over the past couple months with physicians and hear what they have to say. So I attended conferences, I shared it with them, and I told them this is for PCOS patients. And some of them gave me feedback, they gave me constructive criticism on things to take in, things to take out. And I was like, okay, now that I feel like this is a nice work of art, let me share this with the community of, the same community of women that had all these answers that helped me kind of like spark my passion while I had similar answers, like, back when I started my journey. So I decided to share the resource with them, making it free for some people that couldn't afford it, and for those that obviously could afford it, making it available for them for purchase.
That's amazing. That's thank you so much for sharing that with us. Do you like plan on like, moving forward, like writing more books or like telling more, more stories? Like, where do you see like this like an endeavor of yours, like, moving forward? And can you tell us when your interview is again? I didn't quite catch it.
I'm sorry, could you please repeat your last question?
I'm sorry, like when the interview that you have coming up is again, so because we can be
on my interview is tomorrow.
Oh, it's
but
tomorrow.
I have a residency meet and greet.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you said you have an interview with Peppy Health or something.
Oh, my bad.
It's okay. Era season is a little foggy.
Interview. I already had the interview with Peppy Health. Peppy Health is a health app that connects humans with physicians that can help with reproductive and endocrinological disorders. One thing I love about Peppy Health is because it demystifies the stigma around dealing with your issues or your medical conditions while you're at the workplace. It's almost like you can't share certain things that you're dealing with while you're applying for a job, but Peppy Health makes that, so it integrates their software into like different companies' profiles. So even if someone tells you, oh, I have certain reproductive endocrinological condition, that company can basically tell the individual during an interview, oh, you know what, we can make this, we have physicians that can help you with this condition. Let's say you're having a crisis while at work. So it's kind of like changing the approach of how we deal with like health conditions while also being working individuals. So I have an interview coming up with them, exclusive, mid-November this year.
Wonderful. You heard it here first. Chioma is out here mid-November this year, Peppy Health. Please be on the lookout. Hey. And then my other question was, so like, do you see yourself like bringing on more projects, like for any other type of endocrinological issues, sharing like your cooking art, with us in any other form? I mean, I don't cook, I definitely struggle with my meals at times, so like, do you have anything, coming up for us in the future?
Yes, I do. I'm working on my second book, which I want more people to work with me as opposed to making it like an individual independent project. So I think I'm going to wait till I get the right physicians or partners that would help with publishing this book. I also have partnerships and collaborations with certain companies that lined up. One is being Inito, which I've shared on my Instagram, that helps women with anovulatory cycles, irregular periods, or even regular periods, try to like, help with their fertility journey. And then there are also more brand collaborations that are in the works that I can't wait to share when things are already set in stone.
Man, I'm even getting inspired just listening to you, man. I'm like, what am I even doing in my life? Like, I have to wake up, no sleep. But yeah, like, so where do you see yourself like 5 years from now?
I see myself as a wonderful mother and wife.
Amazing.
Jokes aside, I do see myself basically having fun with my friends and family. I think medical school robs you of that opportunity. And
talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And carving time to spend with my family, I think that's my priority. With respect to like personal, but with respect to like my professional life, I do see myself um completing, as I said, the fellowship within lifestyle medicine that I'm interested in. And also possibly collaborating with other members of AFP boards of directors to build, instill, and kind of work on objectives that will recruit the next generation of leaders within family medicine.
Amazing. Spectacular. Okay. I wanted to ask you this earlier on, but like if you could like talk to yourself, let's say your pre-med self, you're in undergrad, and you could just like pretty much like talk to yourself, like what kind of advice, considering like the amount of challenges that you've overcome to get to this stage, what kind of advice would you give to your past self?
That's a great question. I would definitely tell myself, do not be too hard on yourself. You are a work in progress. Take it one step at a time. You don't have to accomplish everything now. Everything would happen in due time.
Amazing, amazing. Very solid. Well said, well said, well said. This is a question that we ask like all our guests, we actually call ourselves the village doctors because we believe like it takes a village, to achieve your dreams, accomplish your goals, like the same type of ideals that you have, in the sense that like you can go further, when you have more people, pretty much, my question for you is, who would you say is your village or your group of people that help to support you along the way in order to get you to this stage and project you to maximum success in the future?
That's a beautiful question. I am absolutely nothing without my village. And my village encompasses my husband, my nuclear family, my new family, which is his family, my close friends. My friends pour life into me and give me a safe space to basically be vulnerable, and I'm grateful for that because it's a gift on its own. I would also extend my village to my mentors within medicine, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Those people are my village of people.
Amazing. Family, friends, mentors, like very, very important in order for us to succeed. Sharma, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an honor. It's been a privilege. Really appreciate you. If for anybody else that's interested in, taking a look at your book, please, how do we go ahead and make that purchase?
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for everyone who joined this live. I hope you learned and from our experiences and from the things that we both shared, and hopefully connect with me on my Instagram, which is Carmen-Rose_M, or at the PCOS Diary, so you can learn more tips about PCOS and amazing beginner-friendly recipes and exercises. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Man, we got to get you over here so you can be closing for us. Like, that's spectacular. That's amazing. Solid. Nothing else needs to be said after that. Amazing. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. And good luck on all the interviews you have this
Good luck to you too. Good luck. And thank you, villagers. We appreciate y'all. Take it easy.
Take care. Bye.